Hey everyone, ready to dive into the latest AI happenings? I feel like every day there's some new breakthrough or controversy popping up.
It really is incredible how fast this field is moving. Keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Definitely keeps us on our toes. Okay, so first up, let's talk about TSMC, the chip-making giant, basically cutting off Chinese companies from their most advanced AI chips.
Yeah, this is a big one. TSMC is the top supplier, They make those cutting-edge chips that power everything from our smartphones to the supercomputers used for AI development.
So they're halting production of these chips, specifically for Chinese companies. What's the reason behind that?
Well, it looks like it's mostly due to pressure from the U.S. government. They've been, trying to limit China's access to this kind of
Right,
technology.
that makes sense. It's all part of that whole tech rivalry thing going on between the U.S. and China.
Exactly. The U.S. sees AI as like a critical battleground, and controlling who gets the best chips is a big part of their strategy.
So what does this mean for companies like Baidu? The article mentioned that their Kunlun chips, specifically designed for AI, were heavily reliant on TSMC's 7-nanometer process.
Right, and that 7 nanometer tech is like the gold standard right now. It offers the kind of processing power needed for those really advanced AI models.
So without access to these chips, could this put Chinese tech companies at a significant disadvantage in the AI race?
It definitely could. They might have to look for other manufacturers or try to ramp up their domestic chip production, which is a big challenge.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. It seems like AI development is becoming increasingly intertwined with geopolitics.
No doubt about it. This move by TSMC could be a turning point, potentially leading to separate U.S. and Chinese tech ecosystems, each developing along its own path.
Hmm. Separate ecosystems, that's a thought-provoking idea. It makes you wonder what that means for the future of AI collaboration and innovation.
Absolutely. It's something to watch closely. But let's move on to a story that's a little closer to home, shall we? Microsoft is making some big moves with their AI assistant, Copilot. They're integrating it into Office apps for personal and family subscribers, but there's a catch.
A catch, what's that?
Well, it seems this upgrade comes with a pretty hefty price increase for subscribers, even those who might not want or need AI features.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
Especially for folks who might be hesitant about AI or concerned about privacy.
exactly. And to make matters worse, there are reports that some users in those regions can't even turn Copilot off.
Wait, seriously,
Yeah.
they can't turn it off? That seems a bit over the top, doesn't it? Like, shouldn't users have the choice?
You'd think so. It's raising concerns about user control in this age of AI. Are we headed towards a future where AI integration is just forced on everyone, regardless of their needs or preferences?
It's a valid question. And it highlights the importance of having these conversations about user choice and transparency as AI becomes more deeply integrated into our daily lives.
For sure. But let's shift gears again and talk about something a bit more autistic, shall we? An AI robot artist named Ida has just sold a portrait of Alan Turing for over $1 million.
Whoa, $1 million for a portrait created by an AI? That's wild.
It's a big deal. This sale is a major milestone for AI-generated art. It signals a growing acceptance in the traditional art world.
So tell me more about this Ida. How does a robot create a portrait?
Well, she uses cameras, algorithms, and a robotic arm to paint. It's pretty mind-blowing. She even uses an advanced AI language model to talk about her work.
Wow, that's incredible. So she can actually discuss her artistic process. That's next level AI.
It really is, and this raises so many fascinating questions about what it means to be an artist in the age of AI.
Right, like can a machine truly be creative? Or is it just mimicking human creativity based on the data it's been trained on?
It's a question that's going to be debated for a long time, but the fact that Ide's art is commanding such high prices suggests that people are taking it seriously as a legitimate art form.
It definitely makes you think about the future of art and the evolving role of the artist. And it brings up a lot of questions about ownership and copyright, too.
Absolutely. If a machine creates a work of art, who owns it? The programmer. The AI itself. These are uncharted waters legally and philosophically.
It seems like the world of AI is constantly pushing boundaries and challenging our assumptions.
And we're just scratching the surface. It's an exciting, albeit sometimes unsettling, time to be following this field.
Okay, so we've got international intrigue with TSMC, ethical dilemmas with Microsoft's Copilot, and AI robots breaking into the art world. Sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack here.
It really is amazing to think about, AI art selling for millions. It's like, where does the line blur between human creativity and what AI can produce?
It's a question a lot of people are asking. But before we get too deep into that, I want to circle back to TSMC and their decision to stop making those advanced chips for Chinese companies. What are the long-term implications of that?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. It could really reshape the global AI landscape, not just about those specific chips, but the whole dynamics of how AI develops going forward.
Right, and we were talking about Baidu and how they rely on those 7-nanometer chips from TSMC. What happens to them now? Can they find other suppliers?
Well, that's the thing about TSMC. They're kind of the best at what they do. Years of experience, tons of investment in R&D. It's not easy to just switch to another manufacturer.
So Chinese companies might have to try and catch up on their own in terms of chip production.
Exactly. And that's a steep climb. It takes time, resources, expertise. So yeah, it's a real setback for them, at least in the short term.
And what about the bigger picture? Could this decision, combined with those U.S. export restrictions, actually hinder China's overall AI ambitions?
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, access to that top-tier hardware is crucial for developing the most advanced AI. So yeah, it could slow them down.
It's like we're watching a tech Cold War play out, isn't it? With AI as the main battleground.
Yeah, kind of feels that way sometimes. This whole situation could lead to those separate AI ecosystems we were talking about, one for the US and one for China, each developing their own standards and stuff.
And what would that mean for AI in general, globally?
Yeah.
More competition or more fragmentation?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, competition can be good, drives innovation, but too much separation could also be a problem, right? Less collaboration, maybe even different ethical approaches.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, so let's switch gears again. We talked about Anthropic partnering up with Palantir and AWS to bring their Claude AI to intelligence operations. What's the thinking behind that move?
Well, intelligence agencies, they deal with massive amounts of data, right? Way more than humans can handle effectively. So the idea is to use AI like Claude to help sift through it all, find patterns, connections, things that humans might miss.
So like a super-powered analyst working 24/7.
Exactly. And we know Claude's already been used in other fields, like insurance. Turns out those same capabilities can be really valuable for intelligence work.
Makes sense. But, giving AI a role in national security, that has to come with some risks, right?
Oh, for sure. There's always a chance of AI making mistakes, especially when you're dealing with complex situations, real-world stuff.
And in that kind of environment, a mistake could have some pretty serious consequences.
Absolutely. So the key is to have really rigorous testing and oversight. You can't just let AI run wild, right? Humans need to be in control, making the final calls.
Speaking of control, it made me think of that whole thing with Microsoft and Copilot. Some users are saying they can't even turn it off. What's your take on that?
I get it. It's frustrating, I mean, AI can be cool and helpful, but people should have the choice. Like if they're worried about privacy or just prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, they should be able to opt out.
Totally. It's like forcing AI on people isn't the way to build trust.
Exactly. And this whole thing with Copilot, it highlights a bigger issue, right? As AI becomes more common in our lives, we need to have clear guidelines about user control, transparency, all that stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, but before we wrap up, I want to talk more about AI art. I mean, $1 million for a portrait, that's got to say something about how people are viewing this whole thing.
It definitely does. I mean, it's like a stamp of approval, right, from the art world. Collectors, critics, they're taking AI art seriously now.
And Ide, the robot artist, she uses cameras and algorithms to paint. But then she can also use AI to talk about her work. It's pretty wild.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Like, where does the artistry come from? Is it in the code, the data, the human who created the AI in the first place?
Right, really blurs the lines. And legally, it raises a ton of questions, too, like who actually owns the copyright to a piece of AI art?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Our current laws are all about human creators, right? So we need to figure out how that applies to AI. It's going to be a big debate as AI art gets more popular and commercially successful.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From chip wars to AI artists, it seems like the AI world is full of both opportunities and challenges.
It really is. And as AI keeps advancing, it's more important than ever to have these conversations, about ethics, economics, the potential impact on society.
Exactly. We need to be informed and engaged so we can shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone. $1 million, that's just, I don't know, it's hard to wrap your head around it. AI art, reaching that level, it feels like a real turning point.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's like, okay, this isn't just a novelty anymore. AI art is like a legitimate part of the art world now.
And with Ida, It's not just the painting itself, it's the whole process, cameras, algorithms, robotic arm, and then she can even talk about her art using AI.
Right. It really makes you question, like, where's the creativity coming from? Is it the AI itself, or is it, the humans who programmed it, the data it learned from?
It's a tough question.
Mm.
And legally, it's a mess too. I
Mhm.
mean, who owns the copyright to AI-generated art?
That's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, our copyright laws are all about, like, human creators, so we got to figure out how that applies to AI, and fast, because this is only going to get bigger.
Okay, but stepping back for a second, do you think there's a risk here? Like, could AI art devalue human creativity? If anyone can just generate a masterpiece with a few clicks, does that, I don't know, diminish what human artists do?
I think it's more of an opportunity than a threat, honestly. Like, think about photography. It didn't replace painting, right? They exist together. And I think AI art will be similar. It's a new tool, a new way to express yourself.
So it's not about replacing human artists, it's about, like, expanding the possibilities.
Exactly. It could even lead to new forms of art, new collaborations. Imagine, like, human artists working with AI, each bringing their own strengths to the table. Could be amazing.
Wow, yeah, that's a cool thought. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from chip wars and intelligence operations to the future of art. It's clear AI is touching every aspect of our lives.
No doubt about it. And it's moving so fast. What seems like science fiction today could be reality tomorrow.
It's definitely a lot to keep up with, but it's also incredibly exciting. And I think the key takeaway for everyone listening is this. The future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's something we're all shaping together.
Well said. So stay curious, stay informed, and let's see where this incredible technology takes us next.